Welcome everyone to a new episode of This Is a Revolution, your 1 year anniversary edition of This Is a Revolution. I'm George, joined here by my good friend, Mr. Dave the Mark. David, how are we, my friend?
I'm alright, mate. I love the fact that we have a 1 year anniversary show. Yay! And a pretty awesome show as well, right? We get to talk about the J Cup and we get to talk about the Rumble.
I love how it's lined up, actually. Yeah. And look, if I was a better man, we'd have had some kind of anniversary show of all our best bits and all of our best clips, but I'm a lazy man. So it's turned out quite nicely that it's not gone into an off week. And we've actually got it lined up with, like you said, the J Cup, little J Cup review, a little Rev Rumble preview as well. So, I really enjoyed myself on Saturday night. I went into this show thinking that there was a lot of jeopardy in the sense of what could happen. Like, it didn't feel like there was a nailed-on winner. It didn't feel like, well, there's all these foreign-based guys, and there's like, last year, that was half the tournament was foreign-based guys, half not foreign-based, and you kind of go, well, are they going to do 2 for 2 and all of that sort of stuff, and some of them, like the other matches. For me, going into this show, there was only one predictable match of the entire weekend, and that was TK versus Luke. For me, that was the predictable match. But even then, they still worked it in a way to try and make it a bit more unpredictable. So, yeah, I was really pleased with the show. I thought it was a lot of fun. Generally always do with these sort of shows. How did you find it?
I really enjoyed it, mate. I think it was the best J Cup I've been to. I've done the last 4. Yeah, Robbie, Leon, Leo, and now Nino.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to I always talk about 2023 as being the best J Cup event that I've been to.
Yeah.
But actually, when you think about 2023, most of the highlights didn't come from the J Cup. So the Kanji versus Alex Windsor match and the RKJ versus Luke Jacobs and the Gabe Kidd versus Michael Oku were like York Hall matches.
Mm-hmm.
And the J Cup was quite, it was a very respectable first round of matches. Like, there were no blow away bangers, just a good round of matches. And then the finals always interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
But this year, I think that the quality and the variety, the balance of the first half was really good. And the main event was the best main event, J Cup main event I've seen. Nice. I thought the crowd were absolutely into it. I really enjoyed everything that was in the second half. And it just felt like this year they had the focus was on the J Cup, and then you got your Serena Deeb, Blizievo like dream match, and a couple of matches which just extended storylines, as opposed to being big like blow off matches.
Yeah.
But it meant that the focus on the J Cup was more so.
Yeah, when I look at these kind of events, I always think of them, and this is my reference point because I'm old, but I think of late 90s, early 2000s WWE pay-per-views. That's what I see these kind of events as. And specifically a King of the Ring, where the format always would be King of the Ring tournament is your main draw to the show. You'll then usually have a match that would be quite high, like a semi to main on a A-level pay-per-view, and then maybe a couple of B-level pay-per-view matches. And that's kind of within the Rev Pro canon what I felt we had here. Like you said, you've got the tournament. Then you could argue that Luke Jacobs and TK Cooper or Lizzie and Serena would fit in that A-level main event kind of slot, with the other one seen as a mid-card match, which sounds damning with faint praise. It's not meant to. And then you had Josh James versus Owen Swain as well, which was a nice little angle extender there as well. So, yeah, I think the show had a really great balance to it. So, I think then, Dave, what we should do is we should get into the show. What we'll do is we'll give our thoughts on the first round, go a bit more in depth with the other matches, And then once we cover this, we'll go into our thoughts of the Revolution Rumble and where we think that might go at the weekend. So, first round matches.
Which one was your favourite?
Oh, easily Endakara versus Chris Ridgeway.
That was my favourite too.
I felt that was the one that had the most work rate quality with styles that I like. And that's not, again, that sounds like I'm being really damning to everyone else. It's not. The J Cup is a family show. So what I thought Ethan did really well in his opening match was the way he was doing crowd control. Okay? You didn't need to go in there and have a banger. We know Ethan could go in and do like the banger total work rate stuff. Endakara was someone that people weren't as familiar with as a whole, so had to get over by his in ring. And Ridgeway is just Ridgeway. Like, I think Ridgeway couldn't have a work rate match if his life depended on it, because he's just that good at what he does. I felt that the styles really meshed well together. Endakara reminded me in ring, I felt he was very similar to early run WWE Seth Rollins. That kind of style. There was lots of strikes, lots of high flying, but not obvious high flying, like maybe athletic, agile, all of that sort of stuff.
He was damn quick between the ropes, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He just had. I've heard a lot of great stuff about him. People said when he eventually comes here, people are going to lose their mind. So I've been waiting for a while, going, I want to see this guy. And like we've said before, I generally won't go out my way to go and watch someone because I don't ever do what I go, unless a match is really like, this is the match to watch. I get, what if I pick a bad match for them? Maybe I'll just see them because inevitably they will come to Rev Pro. I felt that his debut was great.
Rev Pro presentation of these wrestlers.
Yeah,
I want to see them in a match where I know who their opponent is, and I've got a bit of context as to why they're here. And I remember Stephen Wolf talking about it with me when he talked about when he first came into Rev Pro. He said his first couple of shows were basically like working out what the Rev Pro house style was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I'd never really considered. And every show, whether it's an independent company or a big billionaire company, they have their in-ring style. They have their way of delivering pro wrestling, and I want to see Rev Pro's pro wrestling. So I'm completely with you. I like to wait for the people to come to me rather than me going looking for the people. And Endakara is a funny one because I've been aware of him for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But and I expected that I would have seen him by now because I've been watching WXW and things like that. But he just hasn't been on the shows I've seen.
Yeah.
So I just keep missing him. But yes, I was really impressed. Really, really liked him.
I liked
Adam Priest was the one for me who I thought was the real standout of the three guys I'd never seen before.
Yeah, just touch on Endakara before we go off there. The one thing I really liked is that we went with licensed music again. Yeah. So, and you can see that the guy in his presentation, the way he gets into the ring, does everything. I don't know if you noticed it, because a lot of music will play and just finish at a certain point and trail off. His ended right on cue with the very end of his entrance and the way he got in the ring, took his jacket off and everything. I just thought it's a guy that seems fairly attuned to everything about the way he does things.
He had a moment on the entry ramp where he timed something like a physical action with the music.
Yeah.
And that's very much like, you see that a lot in WWE or in AEW, where these people have got, all of the fine details are absolutely nailed on. The presentation is immaculate because it has to be for the kind of product they're putting out.
Yeah.
I thought his presentation was excellent. Like, I had a friend with me who had never been to a wrestling show before, never watched wrestling before. I just happened to have a spare ticket. So I offered it to him, and you could see, like, when I was talking to him afterwards about like who stood out and what he enjoyed and things like that, you could see that's like business picked up when Endokara came out in terms of capturing this complete novice to wrestling, like capturing his attention.
Yeah, he was great. And as you just started to touch on there as well, capturing attention, that was Adam Priest for me. Like,
mate, I think he was all I could hear when every time we had like the interval and the end of the show, and there were big queues at merch, so you're around listening to people's conversation. Everyone was talking about Adam Priest.
Yeah,
like he really, you can see he got over really, really quickly.
He really did.
He is my kind of wrestler.
Yeah,
because
it was
like his moniker of any style.
Yeah,
that's so obvious because he is quick and athletic, but he's like strong style, striking. Then you've got the like all the mat stuff that he is absolutely like. Clearly, he is a very, very accomplished like technical wrestler.
Yeah.
And so you come away from it thinking like, okay, cool. What Adam Priest matches would I like to see? So I'd like to see like Priest versus Jordan Breaks and Priest versus Chris Ridgway. But then I'd also like to see Priest versus Zaya, Priest versus Leon Slater. And then you're like, but actually Priest versus Luke Jacobs, Priest versus Josh James. You're like, these are very different opponents, but I trust that all those matches would be really, really intriguing.
They would. I mean, I know you didn't take claim for it yourself, but you were saying to me, someone mentioned to you that he reminded like of a Jamie Noble, like a bit of a modern Jamie Noble.
I've either read that somewhere or somebody said it. I can't remember which.
Yeah. I thought it was very apt.
But it stuck with me. Whether I read it in a review or maybe it's a Cage Match comment or maybe it's something that somebody said to me because we were talking about him in the 229 a couple of weeks ago when he was first announced. Someone said he was like a young Jamie Noble, and I was like, cool. Like, I'd seen him on TV, I'd seen him on in WXW, but I hadn't really seen where that idea of a young Jamie Noble. I hadn't seen that in him, in his WXW work. And the minute he came out in Stevenage, it was like, oh, I see it. Like it's so very, very clear. And I remember when Jamie Noble first came into WWE. I hated him from the moment he came out, and it's like now I'm older and I'm looking back and I'm like, yeah, he was really good.
Yeah,
that was his job.
I loved him at the time, but I think where I'm those couple of years older than you, I was probably at that stage where I liked the bad guy, like all of that sort of stuff. I liked him a little bit more, and I love Jamie Noble. The cruiserweights in WWE were one of my favorites, and what I liked is how he had a lot of personality, and that was the same with Priest. In fact, the other person that Priest reminded me of quite a lot in how he carried himself, any style stuff, was Cash Wheeler from FTR as well. He reminded me a lot of him in his style, which, look, they're two great wrestlers to be compared to, right? Like, one a legend, one who would be a peer in the industry, who have both achieved great things.
I completely see how him and Manders are mates.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, you can just tell, like, one, I got to meet him at Merch, really lovely fella.
Yeah.
But also clearly gets banter.
Yeah.
Like, was bouncing off of people, was winding up the crowd, and it was just a real entertainer.
For me, there's like when it comes to the Americans, there's two levels of ring banter you get, right? You get the very American ring banter, which feels like it's really clean cut, and kind of not very British, right? Leo Rush is one like that. It's very TV ready. Ace Austin was very like that. Then you get people like Manders and Priest, who it just feels like they're just having a bit of shit talk with you. And that's what I love. Like, it was little things like, do you guys not have AC in here? And stuff like that. Or even just the stuff he was doing with the fingers behind his back with the spot with Lycos and all of that. Like, it was just, there was almost that endearing factor to him. There was the pantomime aspect of it. Despite never being in Rev Pro before, he clearly understood his assignment, that he was in to get people to notice him. He was in there having good wrestling as well. He was playing up to the fact it was a family show as well. Like, there was a lot of different facets going on. It was also great to see Kid Lycos 2 back. I was just
thinking that when you mentioned him, like, Lycos and Lycos 2 were quite heavily involved in Rev Pro when I first started going.
Yeah.
And then for the last 3 years, they come in and do a few shows, and then and you could quite easily go 6 months, even longer, between appearances to see them. But quite curiously, that means that the last time I saw Lycos was the J Cup last year.
Yeah.
And to see Lycos 2 from that J Cup to now, and prior to that J Cup would have been Fantastica Mania, and prior to that Fantastica Mania was probably last year's Fantastica Mania. Like, big gaps. You see the growth, in ring and physically and in confidence, and you just think, when I first started seeing him, he was a very small-framed guy who was kind of being like you could see Lycos was the more confident one, and Lycos 2 was his protege. And now it's no, you're completely your own man now. You've gone from being a young lad to being a man, and it's really nice to see that kind of growth.
He's so good at what he does, and like you said, I've just got up a cage out, because even I was thinking the other day, I was like, we haven't seen Lycos or Lycos 2 round in a while, and I completely blanked on even mention it to you. And then a couple of days later, Lycos 2 gets announced for this. I was like, great, I want to see more Lycos 2, especially in Rev Pro. I mean, both guys are great, but Lycos 2, he's just got this connectability, a way that he does things that, again, like you said, the growth that he has had. You can physically, you could see it in him as well. The lad is filled out quite a bit. Still great in the ring, but the fact, September last year was the last time we saw him. It was crazy. It's been that long. But I felt that they had a great first round match. That was when I wasn't sure who was going to win, and then I win an effort for Cam in the first round as well over Ace Austin, which is the one that surprised me the most, because I thought Ace Austin would be the win.
I'd worked myself into believing Cam was not just my favourite to win it, but the best story to tell and the most logical story to tell. So at that point, I was fully kind of yep, this is all playing out exactly how I thought it would. I got all 4 quarterfinal predictions that we talked about off air between the two of us last week. I got all 4 of them spot on. So at that point, I was like, yep, what my vision for how this is going to go is playing out completely. And then obviously he was the first one eliminated in the final. You're like, oh shit, I completely got that wrong. Liam Slater, I thought, was really played his role perfectly. My daughter saw him in Coventry, and she couldn't get past Liam Slater, Leon Slater. She's watched Leon for a couple of years now, and then she's like, who's this guy? I don't get it. Are they brothers? And I'm like, no, he's his coach. And she's like, not convinced. She watched the match. She wanted Cameron to win. Cameron didn't win, so she's like him even less now because he beat one of my favourites. And then he comes out on Saturday, and she's literally like, "Oh, it's him again." I was like, "Yep." Said he wants Cameron to join him. She's like, and then she was like, kept on going over to me, like, "He's really funny, isn't he? I really like him. He's one of my favourites now." I'm like, "There you go." Just a bit of entertainment, and you've got the kids on board. I really like the story because you've got Cameron hadn't won in 5 matches in Rev Pro. Liam Slater's in his corner for 1 match, and he wins it.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't want Liam Slater there in the final, and it costs him.
It's the first one. Yeah.
He's kind of justifying the whole storyline simply just in that. And yeah, like on the final, I think Nino Bryant was probably the least talked about amongst my circles in terms of who would win it.
Yeah.
Like if it were, it very much felt like if it's a babyface winner, it's going to be Cameron. If they go down a different route, it's going to be Ridgeway. And if they do go for, because the Rumble's only a week away, there were quite a few people thinking, well, maybe they'll go for one of the American guys, or because they could win the Rumble, they could win J-Cup and then lose at the Rumble, and they're here for a week maybe. Yeah. In which case, Ace Austin was mainly the one being talked about as the most kind of famous and established of the two American/free imports. Didn't really hear much chatter for Nino Bryant, but
no,
what a great just on the night story that was told.
Yeah, and I would say the same, that everyone kind of had the ones they thought would get it. I didn't see a Nino win coming. And I don't think I saw the Nino win coming until the literally got down to the last two. And you know what, fair play, like a great story. We've spoke about where we thought it was going if Leon hadn't got injured. Obviously, I think we both of us at the time said we felt that Leon was probably winning that and going to get his big moment at Crystal Palace. And the way that the deck has had to be shuffled a little bit now, because obviously Leon's injured. Now the winner is getting their shot at the Rumble instead of the anniversary show. And then that kind of goes, well, as we've said, the winner needs to take... whoever takes the belt from Caven needs to be a Rev Pro guy. So it would be like, well, if an American guy wins it, are they going to take the belt? Because I could see an argument for Ace Austin taking the belt from Ridgeway, going on to the anniversary show, and then a Rev Pro guy beating Ace Austin. An even bigger scalp then, isn't it?
Especially if you think, like, Ace Austin's a free agent now, so he can take that belt all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, he can come back to the UK as often as like Andy's prepared to pay for his flights, and then you've also got the idea. You'd imagine Ace is going to do quite a lot of dates with New Japan now. Now he's a free agent, like he's got the links. So,
but therein also lies the other problem that you have one belt that's currently away now, right? With Mercedes. So do you double up on that? Because we've had that, and that obviously wasn't received well. So it's a fine balancing act between establishing a wider fan base by having that person with your belt being associated with it.
Do you think Nino beats Caven?
No, I don't. And that sounds really flippant, and it's not meant to. I think the story here is still Cameron. So I'm gonna. I know I've briefly kind of talked with you about it and I kind of put some out there, but I was sitting with our friend Marty in Nando's before the show, and we were talking about what we think could happen, and we were talking about the different scenarios, and we're like, one of the things was, do we know the severity of Leon's injury? Is it a long term thing? Is it could be okay for? I don't know with these things.
That's the question I was going to ask you actually, because it's an ankle, right?
Yeah, and look, I don't know. And if I
don't know how long an ankle injury tends to. Is it a break?
I think it was, but you know what? I don't know, and it's not. I don't think it's even fair for me to sit and speculate like how long, like. In the nicest way,
no,
I'm going to pretend that Leon...
where Leon would be back by the anniversary show.
Yeah.
You could plan around that.
100%,
like, okay, so he might be back by Uprising, so we plan around that.
Yeah, I'm going on the basis that Leon is not going to be back. And if he's back and can do happy days, like, be happy about that.
So do you think it will be Cameron versus Caven at the anniversary?
I do. I don't think Caven should take the belt past anniversary. And look, I know that I've said all along, like when Caven won the belt, I was not sure about this, but I think the lad has really grown into the role. I think that this is definitely an occasion where the title has made the man, but the man has also stepped up alongside it, and now it doesn't feel like they've been dragged. Like, it's actually felt like just built up gradually. I think Caven gets the win.
And also, one thing, like, the Cruiserweight Championship used to feel like almost like an open championship. Anybody could have a go at it.
Yeah.
It was like a constant open challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing Lycos challenge Robbie X for it when Lycos hadn't had any singles matches for ages, and then suddenly it's like championship match 229 Lycos versus Robbie X.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's cool. Bit out of nowhere, but that's cool.
And you don't mind with that sort of thing. That's how it's established, right?
Now it's very much like you won a championship match, fucking go and earn it.
Yeah, it is
just like the heavyweight championship. Like, you've got to earn your right to challenge for the championship. I much prefer that generally in my taste.
Same.
I think Nino will beat Will Caven.
Interesting.
And I think Nino will beat Caven and basically hold it until Leon Cage is fit and ready, and then bring us back to Leon Cage versus Nino Bryant. So we had the first time they wrestled for the future. The second time they wrestle is for the Cruiserweight Championship. And it'd be like almost like we're going to build like a legacy feud, an Orton and John Cena between these two over time. I think that would be really cool. It would also be cool for Nino to beat Leon and get his win back there, and then they can have a rubber match for the championship again at a later date. But I feel like a babyface cruiserweight champion is due. I feel like now's the right time. Had it been Leon, which is what I had originally thought that was my prediction, that Leon would win it. I felt Leon was going to beat Caven. So they've gone with Nino winning it. But I still feel like it's the right time for somebody to beat Caven. So, I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to tell you why the whole way Cam just suddenly felt like he was heated up again, right? After, obviously, the stuff with Leon. Means that, for me, it feels like there's still something there that they go, right, we need to bring this guy up again, get him back on track. We often spoke about how he felt off the boil a little bit, cooled down a little bit. So I'm going to put my crazy pitch out there, what I can see happening. So, and if people haven't seen this already, they need to get onto YouTube and watch the RevPro wrap-up, I think it was, where Andy has come out and hinted very heavily that there might be a little sizzle this summer. So the way that this story is being told with the Slaters, what I think is going to happen, or what I could see happening, I could see a scenario where Liam Slater eliminates Cam from the Rumble. I can then see a scenario where Cam faces one of the Slaters at Summer Sizzler. So the whole thing that they've been playing up is Leon has said, I want you to beat me. Okay? And then Cam, night one, goes up against the other Slater. I don't know what way round you do it. Sense would say...
I very much like that idea. In which case, I would say the money match would be Cameron versus Leon.
Yeah,
so
which is what...
that one at the anniversary show.
So I was thinking that would be the logical one. But if Liam is the guy that made Cam... Liam is the guy that made Leon, I could also see that being the reason for that being almost like the boss fight. Like, you've beaten the guy, and now... So, yeah, but even still, like, do it one way round, or...
You've beaten Leon, who I taught everything to.
Yeah.
Everything
so
he knows.
Now beat the coach. Yeah.
But now you've got to beat me, because I haven't taught him everything that I know.
But like you said, for the anniversary show, that does also feel like the money match. And then you could have it Leon versus Cam that night one. Winner goes for the cruiserweight title. Actually, I don't know. maybe if Cam beats him, he gets the opportunity at the cruiserweight title. You can fudge it somehow. Rev Pro are better at doing this sort of thing than me, but I think there's a story there to be told still with them
if
that
it
can
was,
tie into
if it was Liam versus Cam,
yeah,
you could have winner goes to the cruiserweight championship, because we haven't set in canon whether Liam would be a cruiserweight or a heavyweight.
Yeah, exactly.
But Leon is now canonized as a heavyweight.
Yeah, but
so you could go down that route. I think there'll be a few at the anniversary show that work both nights. I think there'll be quite a lot of the guys who do that.
So do I. Yeah.
It feels like a really economical use of budget to pay the guys over the weekend. And I feel like there are enough really cool matches to be had amongst your favourite Rev Pro wrestlers that they can do it without that first night feeling like a bit redundant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the first night that clashes with Riot Cabaret, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
Which I know has drawn. There's quite a lot of people that have booked tickets for Riot Cabaret on Friday and plan to do Rev Pro on Saturday. I even know. I know one guy who has got tickets. He's got a weekend ticket for Rev Pro, and he's got a Riot Cabaret ticket.
Oh.
And he's going to make his mind up based on the cards as to which one he goes to. It's just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally play them off against each other.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. I think that if Nino beats Caven, I think he'll get a huge reaction in York.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah,
I feel like they've built him up really, really well, and there's a lot of organic fan support behind him. If Caven wins, I feel like it would be a really significant moment in the Caven title run.
Yeah,
because he's held it for a really long time, but I can only really recall Lio Rush and Cameron Kai as his two real opponents that he's had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he had 2 defenses against Cameron, one against Lio Rush. He defended against Isaac Murray in WrestleForce, I think I want to say. And I think that's it.
Just have a look now at all of the matches. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, did defend against Isaac Murray at WrestleForce.
And I only really knew that because Wayne and Emma are friends of the channel, often go to WrestleForce because it is quite nearby to where they live.
Yeah.
And they literally text me from the show being like, Will Caven's here defending the Rev Pro Championship against Isaac Murray.
Yeah. So yeah, Cameron Kai defense. Again, Cameron Kai, there was his first 2 defenses of the title. Then obviously Robbie X and Stephen Wolf at Epic Encounter.
Oh yeah,
that was the other significant.
I've forgotten that one.
Lio Rush. So yeah, I think having that would also another win, because the other thing that you've got there that you can have in you canon with Caven is he will have beaten 2 former J-Cup winners.
Yeah.
As Cruiserweight champion in the same run. So while
he's never won a J-Cup, but for 2 J-Cups now, he's been the champion.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him last year, not long before the J-Cup, and he kind of gave us a little scoop in that, where we mentioned the J-Cup, and he was like, well, I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm not doing that. He was like, if Andy wants to book me for the J-Cup, I'm not doing it. Why would I enter a competition when I'm already the champion? It's just stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got the trophy. The trophy is the belt.
Yeah.
And I liked it because previous years the Cruiserweight champion had entered the J-Cup and then would get eliminated in the first round, and then that sets up a nice little championship defense because somebody's beaten the champion.
I get that.
But it was that makes no sense for Caven's character to do that if he has a choice.
Yeah, I thought Adam Priest dived to the outside where he just clattered against the stairs. I mean, I was a little bit lower down than you, so I didn't see the full clatter, but the faces of the people around on the other side said it all.
Yeah, that was like a heart in the mouth moment because it was like, blimey, like he did that so quickly and like almost Darby Allin-esque in the way it was just disregard for his body, just throwing himself into it.
Yeah, and then his head was straight back up, and I was like, yeah. As soon as his head came back, I was like, okay, fine, he's okay. But yeah, like the whole tournament was really, really good. Ridgeway again just doesn't get enough love for how great he is. And you know what? I really enjoy seeing the amount of people on Twitter that I see going, I'm really coming around to Ridgeway. He's really consistent. Yes. He's really good. And I think for a long time, people kind of looked at what he did. And look, let's be honest. He's top, one of the top in the game for the style of wrestling he does. But we're not exactly starved for choice as well. There is a lot of great technicians out there that one point in the scene.
Not everybody's cup of tea, is it?
No. But there is just something. He is piss and vinegar personified.
Yeah.
Like, we got the glimpse of what him versus Priest could be like. I want him versus Priest. I think that'd be great.
Yep. And I want Nino versus Ridgeway at a significant event.
Yeah.
Whether that's Summer Sizzler, whether that's anniversary show, but if Nino wins the championship, a big title defense against Ridgeway would be cool.
I want Ridgeway to be the guy that takes the belt off the next babyface champion.
Me too.
That's what I want.
To have this dominant run where he defends it a lot.
Yeah.
I want him to be a fighting champion, and it almost be like, I challenge anybody to just come and take the belt off me.
Yeah, you know what? Like, fucking, like,
if you back yourself to do it, and if you do it, I'll shake you like fair play. You beat me.
Every show that he's on, give him a defense. Have him break the defense record. Do it. Fucking do it. Like,
yeah.
I just want more Ridgeway.
I genuinely think in 2025, like, just off the top of my head, MVPs of Rev Pro, I'd say Ridgeway, Kanji, Leon Slater. And then it's like, take your pick of Michael Oku, David Francisco. Mm-hmm. Like, Manders was very much from that first quarter of the year.
Yeah.
Like, there. And
God, I forget that was even this year. Yeah.
But, like, it's, that's quite something, isn't it? For the fact that the first three people that for me would be nailed on for MVPs of the year, like on like a Rushmore, none of them are a champion, and none of them are currently in the running for a championship. Yeah. Obviously, Kanji had the big championship match. Slater had the big championship match, but and I'm sure they'll both come around again. At least I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, mate.
Go for it.
Josh James in action. What did you think?
Do you know what? I thought it was good for what they needed it to do. If I've got one nitpick, I feel like before they do that, they need to establish him as the monster, right? So what they did, and when I say they, Josh and Owen, because look, let's be honest, right? Owen's first time out in Rev Pro, I believe. Like, what a stage to do it.
In terms of like non-contenders shows.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so it's first time out in Rev Pro. He's a lad that his name was on my radar because I remember Stephen Wolf posted, because he did a contender show against him and said, this lad is going to be the future. So he came out, he had the likability factor, a not too dissimilar look to a certain Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for him there, because he's going to get that, isn't he, from fans, where it's like...
But you know what? I feel like that worked.
How you built, and then he just happens to have a similar haircut.
I feel that worked for him, though, on Saturday, because it automatically forges... So you're going to have your dickheads who... I mean, and I'm just going to actually... praise for Stevenage. Weren't that many dickheads there?
No, it was a good Stevenage crowd.
There was maybe one guy who kept shouting "loser."
Yes,
But I was.
Did you see that guy though?
No, I didn't. But I was going to say what I enjoyed about it. I think I know where you're going with this because I think I might know who I'm.
But my little girl leant over to me and she was like, "Why does that man keep shouting?" Because it was such random chants, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like 169. The fuck is 169? And I said to her, we'd been talking earlier in the car. Obviously, I've got 2 autistic children, so we were talking about neurodiversity, and I said, I've got a feeling he might either be drunk, or it might be that he's also like Isaac and Sophie, and he's neurodiverse. And she was like, "Oh, okay, like that makes sense."
Yeah.
And then I saw the fella, and he was with a chaperone, and it was quite clear that he had some learning needs, and it's like that changes it completely.
Absolutely.
Because then it's like, okay, you're just trying to enjoy yourself and have a fun time, and you don't really understand the social norms of the situation.
I enjoyed the way the wrestlers dealt with it as well.
Yes, they dealt with it really well, didn't they?
My favourite one was TK Cooper, because I don't know if you caught this one, but he started shouting "loser," and TK was in the corner, Luke was opposite him, and Ethan was down on the ground. And Teeks just turned around without missing a beat and turned around and went, "Mate, I think he's talking to you." And I was like, that was perfect, like a really good way of doing it.
So funny, TK.
But like you said, the crowd were good. There was no dickheads, but you had the ones who thought they were being a little bit funny doing the Jungle Boy stuff. But some of the kids really did gravitate with that, and I think that helped him because straight away it's got this known likable figure. Like he is the proxy in their mind for this.
Jungle Boy 2019-2020 was like such a brilliant babyface.
Exactly. So straight away,
worse people to be likened to.
When you're starting out, you need to connect. You need to find a way to connect, right? He found that way to connect, whether it was intentional by the guys going, you know what, he looks like someone that's on TV. We're in a family-friendly place, or whether it just that's what the crowd did. Either way, it worked for him. I thought he did his part really well. I thought Josh did his part really well. I liked that he did the tsunami from the top. Obviously, we spoke about that last time. So as soon as he was going to the top, I was really watching for it. I was like,
that was it, mate. As soon as he went to the top, I was just watching the feet. I was like, are they both going up, or is it going to be one on, one off? And I was like, yes.
Same. But, and this is where the but comes in, I feel that we're a little bit too early in this run to have done it on an event show. I feel like this is one that I think if they're going to do that kind of angle, I feel like you needed to be a bit more brutal with it. I mean, that sounds a really odd thing to say when you've got a big guy diving twice off the top, right? But get them for the crowd to really be into it, because the crowd was dead when Josh came out, because they didn't know how to deal with this, because in their mind, we've said this about kind of these kind of crowds, is that they're not there to keep up with the show week on week, right? We have some of that in Southampton. And beforehand, the guys were outside go, right, so where's this guy now? Where's this guy? And they'll find out. And you've got the casuals who will just not care. They're just going in there to be entertained. And so I think some of this, of why this was significant up until that moment, probably went over their head a little bit. So they didn't have that same connection. And I think I would have probably done this on regionals a little bit more before that. But then I also go, well, I can't see if the plan is to get this over really well for the Rumble, you kind of have to do it. So
yeah, exactly. Like now going into the Rumble, you can imagine Josh being. Was it you that said the other day you predict he'll have the most eliminations?
Yeah.
So like, it makes sense. Like he's been in the Rumble before, and he's been the big guy in the Rumble, but there's always been other big guys in the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we had Mike DeVecchio, we've had Gabe Kidd. Like this year, I quite like the idea that Josh is the big guy in the Rumble. No one else should be as big as, like anywhere near as big as Josh that's in it. And give him like that Brock Lesnar run from, I think maybe 2019, 2020 Rumble, where he was like just brutal before Drew eliminated him. I really liked it. I thought it was good. I think this is going to work in building building, like, kind of transitioning Josh from. We've done the transition from contender to heavy artillery, but now we're going to transition from heavy artillery to like big deal, serious contender. Somebody that can, when you go into a match, you're not expecting him to come out on the losing side.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking as well was, at the moment, I really want to see him do something really dastardly, right? And that sounds like he's beating up Owen Swain like that. But again, it's all in the confines of a match. Everything he's done is legal. He obviously had his moment with Harry. But there is like a thread where you could almost be sympathetic to Josh. Because all Josh is wanting to do is have a tag team with someone he thought was his friend and a mentor. And he's just been pushed aside. So
Charles been mugging him off like weekly. And then even Harry didn't take their 2 tag matches seriously.
No, he didn't. So you could almost see, we've all been there where we've worked with people who have just, you think that actually you're working with them, you're getting along with them, you want to do stuff with them, but they're just taking the piss, really, right? We've had friends who've been like that in life, and you could almost have a bit of a justification for Josh's actions. So I think to really cement it, I think do some even more hard hitting. I don't know what that looks like, but I would add a little bit. If the goal is to get him over as the monster in Rev Pro, I would add a little bit of that into it. But I'm glad the guy's getting spotlight.
If you want to go down the route of if this is purposeful, let's keep Josh as like it's not like a heel turn, it's just monstering him up, but keeping him in between heel and face, a bit like Jay Joshua does.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can feed him some arrogant, cocky little upstarts.
Yeah.
Put him in there with Mark True.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, but if the other side is like, no, we want big monster heel, keep feeding him, give him Kian Cameron next. Give him Isaac Murray. Give him like young lads. Like we see Owen Swain all the time at Rev Pro shows, right? Because he's always there doing contenders duties.
Yeah.
We've never seen him without his shirt on. When he took his shirt off, I thought he looked even younger than he does when he's like dressed. And then it's like, oh, this is like super brutal because Josh is a man. He is a big, he's in his 30s. He's not a young kid. So for him to be throwing a young kid around is quite brutal.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's fun directions for this, and I'm a big fan of 7-8 match cards where some matches are long, some matches are short, some matches are in between.
Yeah, I enjoyed. Variety. Definitely enjoyed that element of it. Speaking of things that I think we both enjoyed, Lizzie Evo versus Serena Deeb, really, really fun match. Again, another example of where you can see Lizzie's growth, and I really like that.
I feel like I've said this a few times. I feel like that was the best Lizzie Evo match I've seen.
Yeah.
If I'm forgetting one, then this definitely is in the discussion for it. But it also feels like each time I see her, I'm more impressed each time, and I'm impressed with something different each time. So when we first saw her, she was this brilliant bag of energy, great patter, great banter, and just hugely entertaining character, some really strong-looking strikes, and a good overall wrestler. None of that's gone away, but things just seem to be getting better and better. I thought she wrestled Serena Deeb, and she got drawn into an actual kind of proper wrestling match with Serena Deeb.
Mm-hmm.
She handled it really, really well.
Yeah.
And obviously, kayfabe there is she got drawn out of her game plan a little bit by Serena Deeb. But then, the shoot side of it is she had to be able to match Serena Deeb's transitions and technical work on the mat, which is really, really hard to be able to do.
Of course, yeah.
Serena Deeb is one of the most experienced women's wrestlers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And she absolutely did it.
Yeah,
she really, really impressed. And just more and more of both of these women in Rev Pro, please. Like, yeah. I don't know what the future for the Cutthroat Collective is. As long as they continue to be there in one form or another, I'm happy. As long as they keep coming out to the same music with the same ring gear, like, so long as we don't break them up for the sake of, like, you know, there's no need to panic just because Alex isn't going to be there. But the more and more Lizzie Evo Sapphire Reed matches, the happier I will be. Serena Deeb versus Mercedes Moné at Summer Sizzler, maybe.
Yeah. I think that was what we were discussing, weren't we? And I was assuming Lizzie was going to win for that reason. But then there's
obviously also Kanji and Emerson next week, and I can't see past a Kanji win there.
No.
But so we could do Kanji versus Serena Deeb. Well,
in Southampton.
So we kind of know, right? We're not picking up breadcrumbs here. Andy pretty much said on the Wraps last week there is going to be a Summer Sizzler in July, and Mercedes Moné is going to be there.
Yeah,
but that was pretty much like
he said it without
nudge,
saying
nudge,
it.
Wink, wink. Yeah, it's happening. We're not telling you the date yet, but it's going to be in July. So keep your weekends free. So we need, obviously, Moné needs to wrestle someone.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Serena. It could be Kanji. Presuming Kanji beats Emerson. You'd have to say Serena gets the nudge above Kanji because Kanji has lost to Mercedes already and Serena hasn't.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is based upon the idea that Serena will be back because, I mean, Minoru Suzuki's had a very long unbeaten run in Rev Pro, but he's never had a championship match. So it's not a given that Serena would be it. But it does feel... We know her personal situation, so we know that coming to the UK is something that she will do frequently. So, I mean, she literally named Mercedes Moné as her dream opponent the other day. How many times do Rev Pro have the opportunity to do a first time ever truly international dream match? Like, they're getting fewer and fewer, aren't they, to be able to do? What an opportunity to do it if they can. You could do Serena versus Mercedes, and then you could have Kanji versus somebody, and that could, if Mercedes beats Serena, Kanji beats her opponent, we get back to Kanji and Mercedes being on the same path.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm so excited for it, and Mercedes isn't around very often as the women's champion. I don't care. I don't care in the slightest. She's talked about all the time.
Yeah.
The whole women's division is focused around her. And not seeing the champion every week doesn't bother me because it just raises the prestige of the championships.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'm all for it. I'm happy, mate. I'm very, very happy with how that's all going.
You've got a champion on her level. And we've said this before,
but
effectively,
I'm not being funny. This isn't Neon with the Cruiserweight Championship.
It's not GYV with tag titles.
The slightest there. But it's one thing having the championship not in the country because it's on somebody that you don't ever see on your telly, or that you haven't been following for years and years. But like Mercedes Moné is literally as big as it gets.
Yeah, exactly.
It's working really, really well, and the numbnuts that were making comments at the start saying things like she's ever actually going to wrestle in a Rev Pro ring. Well, of course, this is going to be the second time this year.
Of course she fucking is. Like, I'm sorry, but
Andy Quildan is thoroughly people are underestimating that man there if they felt that was ever a possibility.
You're not going to put the belt on her for her to not... she might have only wrestled once in a Rev Pro ring because it could be that she comes, wrestles, and loses in a triple threat match. Like, that is a possibility. That would have been a possibility, but there was never
that's
any.
what we get at Summer Sizzler, mate.
We could
Serena versus Mercedes versus Kanji, because both Serena and Kanji have good win-loss records.
Yeah.
Serena and Kanji have wrestled before, and Kanji very much earned Serena's respect. And as a babyface, Serena might do like a little video saying, "How about the three of us do it together?"
Yeah.
They're all baby faces, so they could all be like, "Yeah, may the best woman win."
Is there a way that we get Lizzie into that instead as well? Because at the end of the match, there was that
headbutt
from Lizzie.
Couldn't you?
I also just touch on what you said about the Cutthroat Collective. I think there will be some changes. One of the things that I was most worried about. So, obviously, we had a really hot introduction to them up to Anniversary. Then from there, we started seeing some stories coming through. It was like we were saying, we're getting two stories.
That was like the Millie McKenzie.
Yeah, we seem to be getting like
that became the focus.
We almost seem to be getting like A and B storylines with them a bit, and then Alex and Nina stopped appearing as much. Obviously, with Alex, we know why. I don't think she'll be back in Rev Pro. I think she's made it very clear that for now her focus is on AEW, where rightly it should be. You've got AEW, yeah. You've got an AEW contract. You've got a family. You've got all that travel. Like, she is focused on
an
the
engagement. Right, congratulations, Will Ospreay and Alex Windsor.
Yes, congratulations, both. Because I know you both watch this podcast every single week.
Obviously.
Why would you not? Hook me up with free tickets to Forbidden Door. So yeah, like she's earned that, and obviously Eve is, as much as we want to say Rev Pro is like the company, I think sometimes people, especially for women, especially for British women, underplay Eve as being the home promotion, right? Like,
Eve is unique, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's like the home of women's wrestling.
Yeah,
in the
so
UK. Like,
Jamie Hayter is the perfect example, right? Has been an undisputed British women's champion from Southampton, and that weekend when she was in the UK, everyone was like, "Oh, she's gonna come to Rev Pro because she's home." Rev Pro is the biggest company in the UK. But when she came out at Eve, she was like, "No, I am back home. This is my company." She came out to her music that she was famous for in Eve, and then her AW music played after the match. So you kind of got that. Like, so when people go, "Oh, well, she's got to finish up her run in Rev Pro," does she? Like, I could see a couple of scenarios here. I could see one where you do the breakup angle where maybe Andy goes, "Look, can you come in for one show to do the Bullet Club style? Out you go." I know she wasn't the lead.
To wrestle, does she?
No, and I know that she wasn't a leader as such, but I kind of felt like her and Nina were the leaders because they were the experienced.
And Nina was the original, like, she's the one that took the mic in the 229.
Yeah.
The famous photo, she's in the center and the four are like on her
around
wings.
Yeah.
Alex she was like, in my eyes, she is the women's division, like in Rev Pro. She was like the figurehead of it. So it all makes perfect sense. I think there's loads of different ways they could go with it, whether that is just bringing them down to a trio with Lizzie, Sapphire, and Mercedes. If Nina's not going to be about, if Nina is going to be about, there's a 4. Or if they go to a trio because Sapphire's getting kicked out and Hyperactive become something in Rev Pro. You've got other cool young women that could easily fit into it. I think Lucia Lee would be a brilliant addition to it, both in storyline and the way that she can work heel brilliantly. I think Chantel Jordan could as well.
So do I. I was just about to say Chantel.
Because then you've got the, like, well, we couldn't beat them, so we're joining them. Like, we're fed up being overlooked also. There's lots of different directions you could go in with it. And there's no rush.
No,
so
I'm
happy either way. I do like the idea of a triple threat or 4-way at Summer Sizzler. I believe that any event that Mercedes on just has to be the main event. It's a bit like when Ospreay was always the main event.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember when he wrestled Leon Slater. I I want to say Epic Encounter 2024, 4. 23.
I was going to say, I was trying to think of 24.
He wasn't the main event on that show. And that's the only time I ever remember seeing Ospreay not in the main event.
Yeah, like, you have to have Mercedes there.
Would be the same.
Yeah.
And that feels like Mercedes versus Deeb, main event. Mercedes versus Kanji, main event. Mercedes, Deeb and Lizzie. Mercedes, Deeb and Kanji. Mercedes, Deeb, Kanji and Lizzie. Like any of these are main event matches on any card. So sounds exciting.
Exactly.
And cool to have all these options in the women's locker room, right?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that really pleased me was that because there seems to be a lot going on around the Cutthroat Collective, not in Rev Pro, like just in general, like I said, with Alex, with Nina not being around much, with Nina seemingly as well in other promotions doing loser leaves matches and threatening leaving the promotions for good. So read into that what you will. But with that happening with Alex, what I really liked recently was Andy actually mentioning the Cutthroat Collective about how things haven't been going the way they'd have probably wanted, and touching on it. So it makes me think that this is not just on the back burner, that you've probably had things going on where they've gone, okay, we need to rethink how we're going to do this. So I reckon there is a resurgence coming soon.
Alex's contract with AEW didn't come out of nowhere, did it?
No, it didn't, and that's
And Alex and Andy, I'd imagine, have a good and honest and open lines of communication. So this would have been talked about, surely.
Absolutely,
and there'd be a succession plan in place.
Yeah, and I think the succession plan is Lizzie being the figurehead. That's where I think we're going, because she seems to be moving into that. I think, and I think that'd be a great endorsement for her, because when your figureheads, whether planned or not planned, are Alex and Nina, and moving her into it, fantastic. So very quickly, let's just wrap up.
Let's talk a little TK and Luke Jacobs, but then we can naturally lead that into predictions for next week with TK and Oku.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the winner for me, this was one that was never in doubt. They did a good enough job in the match with Ethan being out there being corner man. Two things. It kind of got people into looking at TK as the tag guy, because it was a tag team versus TK. By having the double teams, they almost babyfaced TK as well, which I found really interesting.
It worked really, really well in terms of him being this three-dimensional, not quite a heel, not quite a face character.
Yeah.
Because even in his promo, he was like, I don't need the crowd, don't need anybody else, I can do it all by myself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, he was the babyface in that match.
Busted out a Chuck Mambo move as well.
Yes.
Which was an interesting one, because as we've said before, nothing TK does is by chance. It all has meaning.
He showed his intelligence once again.
Yeah.
You know, Luke went for the cheap shot, and it still led to TK winning.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're definitely going to get a spot next week where TK goes for the tights on Oku, but the ref actually sees it and calls him out on it.
Yeah.
I think we see Chuck Mambo next week as well. I know you've got your thoughts on that, which we'll come to. I don't know how it fits in, but I feel like Mambo will be involved either in this match or the Rumble.
I agree.
TK has absolutely won the build, doesn't he? Like,
he has. Like, he's leveled up massively.
He's left every show standing tall. It's proper old school WWE booking, isn't it? Like, the challenger that isn't going to win, always looking strong on the build up to it. I don't think that TK Cooper is going to beat Michael Oku at the Rumble.
No, neither do I.
But I feel like they have got the one of my favourite phrases, the perfect amount of juice out of this fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited for it.
I think it's going to be really good, yeah.
When TK came out in Stevenage, my little girl was grumpy because she was all just like, I don't like him anymore because he cheats. And within like a few minutes, she was cheering for him.
I love that, yeah.
And she was saying to me, like, she wants to wear a TK Cooper shirt next week and she wants to wear a Sunshine Machine hat. And you're like,
yeah,
the dude is so good at just charming his way. And it's like he believes his own crap so well that everybody else buys it.
Yeah. This
an excellent pro wrestler, like in every element of it. Just completely gets it.
This whole story with Michael has had a very WWE sports entertainment style build to it.
Yes.
In the bookings, in the justifications of the heel, the promo videos, but
they've done a sit down with Dave Bradshaw, haven't they?
Oh, have they? I've not seen that.
Yeah, so that got alluded to, and a little clip of it is in the Spinebuster Media, like little hype 2-minute video.
Right, okay, yeah.
So I'm hoping we get the full, like 10-15 minute sit down later this week.
Yeah, nice. I'll look forward to that then. It had all of that.
They're getting the social media and the content spot on at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, that was our thing we said, right? Like give more. And I said this to Teeks at the merch table. I said, I'm really loving the videos you're doing. He went, what? The backstage ones or the ones on my phone? And I said, well, both. I went, but especially the ones on your phone. I said, because
I love the videos on the beach.
Yeah.
They're just so good and so they're perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
Like you can hear the rustling of the wind and stuff in the background. And everything Michael Oku does is so crisp.
It's produced, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but it's like TK doesn't need to do that. He gets the exact same impact just by filming himself strolling down the beach.
But it's almost as well. Michael Oku is the babyface. TK is the heel. But they're doing it the other. Yeah, it's really an interesting way of subverting things.
I think at the end of the year, we'll be talking about it as one of our favourite stories of the year.
I do as well. I know there'll be people listening to this.
If at the start of the year we'd said TK Cooper's going to get a undisputed heavyweight championship match at York Hall, and the build up to it's going to be excellent, and it's going to be one of our favourite stories of the year, I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card. Like, you'd be genuinely really surprised at that.
I can remember a message then when it got announced, and we were like, that feels a bit lacking in the tournament, right? Because when you're talking about a tournament to determine the new number one contender, you'll normally talk about big names, right? And not that TK isn't a big name, but big names within the division, big players within the division. And he just wasn't. What he's been able to achieve throughout that has been spot on. There will be people out there who will listen to this who will be going, well, as you alluded to, he's won the build every week. So going, well, why don't you feel the same about this as you do about CPF? And I feel that where they've done this differently is CPF just constantly got clattered and couldn't get a win out of anywhere without the use of weapons, right? Whether it's singles, tags, whatever, that's the only way they can defeat Young Guns. But they are baby faces. TK is a heel, presented himself as a babyface. And he is getting the little cheat way. So we all know that, he's getting those wins, but we know that he's not getting them clean. And that's the difference, right? You can keep him strong because you know that the babyface has got the excuse for losing.
Yeah.
Just looking on Twitter now.
I really like the CPF, that kind of whole direction, though, because for years we were presented in wrestling that baby faces are inherently stupid.
Yes.
And naive, and they fall for the heels tricks.
Yeah.
And CPF are like, well, you're the ones that wanted weapons, so we're gonna bring weapons. Like,
I'm with you.
You wanted this. The one thing I'm still not 100% certain: are we 100% convinced that one of the trophies is on the line.
No,
for this match.
no, it's not been mentioned, but I am 100% of the belief that it's not for the trophy.
So you don't think it is?
No, the reason
I thought it was. You not thinking it was has now brought doubt in for me. CPF said, we can challenge you because we have these trophies.
Yeah.
Young Guns said, but it's going to be a street fight or no DQ, and CPF accepted.
Yeah.
So really, CPF challenged Young Guns. Young Guns counter-challenged CPF. That's where the ambiguity comes in.
That's how I've seen it, yeah.
Just to be made crystal clear.
Yeah.
In a graphic, in an announcement, in a just something that says.
I'll tell you why I don't think that it will be clarified or hasn't been clarified yet. I think this leads into a match at the anniversary show where CPF use their trophies. Because from my understanding, is if they wanted to go for a tag match, how it kind of come across is that two of them would need to hand in their trophies. That's kind of how I got it. But I think
it was one match.
Well, that's the bit I felt that there was the ambiguity around more.
I'm going to go on record and say it again. I don't like this.
Yeah, but I feel like
I like the idea of them winning the trophies of the prize.
Yeah,
being the champion is the prize. I'm not convinced yet on the 3 wishes.
I think what this is going to do.
Once it's established, I will be, but now the jury's out.
My brain is saying that the payoff to the 3 trophies is the 3 trophies are used to have a match with the Spanish announce team and Amazing Red at the anniversary show, which the tag team champions, because I do think CPF are walking away with the titles.
So you think CPF are beating Young Guns on Sunday?
It wouldn't be my direction I would go.
You think it is?
I think that is I think that is where I think it will go. I
love the fact that I don't think that. So that is, we both agree on Oku versus TK, but we disagree. Or do we both agree on Emerson versus Kanji for a Kanji win?
Oh, 100%, yeah. No disrespect to Emerson. 2
matches we agree on, and then 2 championship matches we completely disagree on. I think Young Guns win, and I think Nino wins, you think Caven wins, and you think CPF win.
Yeah.
I love that. Again, that's good. Yeah. That's how it should be.
Yeah. I would.
Do you think that's it? 4 matches in the first half, then the Rumble?
Yes. Yeah, because I don't see...
The last 2 years, it's been 4 matches in the first half, heavyweight championship match in the second half, then Rumble.
I don't see
what... I suppose there's 2 questions here. Is there a 5th match that you think justifies being paid off now at York Hall? And do you think the card will benefit from an extra match or benefit from staying at 5 matches?
I think benefit from staying at 5 matches. The only match that I feel like could be paid off there is Isaiah versus Jay Joshua. That clearly seems like it's being built to at some point, but injuries have obviously impacted that. As you've said, it would look like it'd be a last man standing match, which doesn't make sense to have a last man standing match on the show with the CPF match on it. Does a last man standing match make sense in a show where both men are in the Rumble as well? Because you've got a guy who's not going to be able to answer a 10 count and then goes into the Rumble.
Jay Joshua's put down at the, he's leaving on a stretcher, he can't get up.
Lame duck. He goes into,
an hour later, he's in the Rumble.
Exactly. So that...
Summer Sizzler can't be far away, right?
Yeah.
Between now and Summer Sizzler, depending on when in July it's going to be, because it's not this month, can't be this month. I can't remember if Andy said it was in July or not, or if I've just put 2 and 2 together. But it can't be this month because they've got to announce it, announce when the pre-sale is, get the pre-sale tickets sold, then put it on main sale. So that takes.
It's not going to be this month. No way.
It'll be in August because that's when the anniversary show is.
Yeah,
and I very much get the vibe that this is not the same as Summer Sizzler last year, where it was MJF opportunities come up, we've got to shift things to make it work.
Yeah.
So if it's in July, we're going to have, after the Rumble, there's nothing for the week after. Then it's back to the 229, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then what have we got? We must have another Coventry lined up soon.
I reckon so. I'm just going to...
what's in July, mate? What's on the schedule for July?
I'm just getting the schedule loaded now, mate.
Is it one of each?
July...
229, Sheffield, Coventry and Southampton?
So July... Live in London, 6th of July. Live in Coventry, 13th of July. Sheffield, 27th of July. So yeah, it feels like you got 3 shows there. Could you build something in there? Yeah.
So you could easily just reignite the Jay Joshua and Cesaro stuff over those 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or if Summer Sizzler is going to be in between the first and second, it's fine. Second and third, it's fine. Even if it's after the third one, plenty of time to get that going again. That feels like the right move for me.
Yeah, and also, mate,
I don't think there's another match which is screaming out to be on this card.
No, I'm with you.
It needs it. I've really enjoyed the last 2 Revolution Rumbles. My one micro complaint is the actual Rumble match itself is very long. I really enjoy them, and I like how they develop all these stories within the Rumble. But you know, like how a WWE Rumble is always like 50 minutes to just over an hour?
Yeah.
Whereas like the Revolution Rumbles are that little bit longer. And so for me, to dedicate the entire second half to it feels like a good move.
Yeah.
I think the crowd will have more energy.
I was going to say that from looking at the weather forecast for Sunday.
I'm not looking forward to sitting up on the balcony in that heat.
No, so I think with that in mind, that is also going to play a factor into energy levels. So,
can someone please confirm for us that we will be allowed by York Hall security to take little fans in?
Yeah.
My God, we're all going to need one.
I think
this feels like the perfect opportunity for proper CPF Michael Oku Sunshine Machine, the kings of merch. Make little fans with your logo on it and walk up and down the queue blocking them. We'll take your money.
Oh, imagine. Right, so Dave, talk me Rumble. So what I want you to come to me with is, who do you think is winning? Give me some names. Don't have to be all 4, but some names you see in the final 4. Things like most eliminations, anything. Give me all the things you expect to happen, and maybe who do you see, if anyone, as big surprises in there, or the number 30 spot.
Cool. Okay. So number 30 spot. The first year was Sha Samuels. Last year was Chris Ridgway. So first of all, let's kind of think about that as a level of excitement. I don't think we're going to get a number 30 where it's, oh my God, Will Ospreay's back, or number 30, it's Zack Sabre Jr. Like, I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we need that.
No.
Number 30, Trent Seven. Number 30, Eddie Dennis out of Rev Pro retirement to come and eliminate Connor Mills and get his own back 2 years later. Something like that I can foresee. In terms of, I think Chuck Mambo is going to be involved in somehow within the show. I think more in the match with Oku than the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't foresee too many real surprises. This time last year, we knew a lot of the Rumble entrants. Because I remember every time a Rumble entrant was announced, when I put the Instagram picture up, I would write in the comments, like in the little blurb, all the entrants that had been announced so far. And I'm sure we were in the 20s by now. This year, I think we've had 9 or 10 announced.
So I'm
and I
going
like
through
that.
the list.
I don't think we need all the announcements.
I agree. I agree with
I
you.
like the mystery of it.
I hate it when we get a huge list.
Has been announced. That's really cool. I like things like that. But whether or not Harry's going to be in it, whether or not, like, I don't know, Kid Lycos is going to be in it, I would rather have the little pop of, I hadn't thought of this person. That's cool.
Yeah, same.
Endakara is a good one because he showed out on Saturday, so here's an opportunity to be like, you get to see him again if you come this week.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like, you might draw a few people in that way. But for people where it can be a surprise but not necessarily a draw, I like leaving it up to the mystery.
Yeah, we've got 10 announced so far.
Leon Slater wins.
Mm-hmm.
I think the final 4 could very much feature Zazaya and Jay Joshua, Leon Slater, and RKJ. And if it's a final 6, therefore, Mills and JJ Gale. I think Luke Jacobs could be. Do you remember last year? Michael Oku got eliminated by Anthony Ogogo very quickly and very suddenly, and it'd be oh my god, what just happened? I feel like that could happen to Jacobs this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you could massively give somebody. I mean, Josh James eliminating Luke Jacobs would be massive.
Yeah.
But as I think Luke Jacobs will be going into this still a tag champion, one of the tag teams eliminating Luke Jacobs, I would love it if True and Lacey.
I think if
kind of turned babyface through the Rumble.
I think if Luke Jacobs goes into this as champion, I think David Francisco eliminates him.
Yeah.
That I'm selling.
True and Lacey had a really interesting backstage video last week.
I haven't seen it yet, but I agree with you said about babyface them. I'd love it.
Well, it's I can't remember the way around. I'm pretty sure it is Mark True kind of giving it like, we'll go again, it'll be fine, blah blah blah, like giving it like the rallying call, and Kieran's like, but mate, we lost again. Like, you just Kieran Lacey being fed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite like the idea that this could babyface them, and they could be. There's definitely something like real underdogs who can't do it. Trying to think of recently in NXT they did it with Hank and Tank.
I'm gonna pretend I know who that is.
Even if you go back to early AEW and the Jurassic Express could never win.
Got you, yeah.
They were like the only team in AEW who hadn't won yet at one stage. Like, I quite like that. I think Josh James is going to get loads of eliminations and look like a beast. I think Jay Joshua will as well. I like the idea of at some point Josh and Jay meeting in the middle and just having a hoss fight whilst everybody else is battered. Yeah, I think that's kind of all my thoughts so far. What about you, mate?
Nice. Oh, I was just looking at who has been announced. Like the 10, I think 10 is 10 or 11, that we've got in there. But I just saw that Jack Perry's trending on Twitter, and I can only imagine it's because of they're actually looking for Owen Swain.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think Leon Slater wins it. I think when we started the year, I was nailed on this was RKJ. Or no, I wasn't. I thought
RKJ would be champion by now.
That was it. Sorry, I thought RKJ would be champion with Zion Eldon to face him. I don't feel like either man is coming out of this with the win. I don't think either man should, personally. I think, look, if Zazaya came out with the win, and we know Ricky and Oku again have had great chemistry, I don't think either match offers us something like at an even higher level we've got. I think Leon does. I think where they ended that story with Leon and Michael, and having Michael and Amira being booed in Doncaster, I think that has to be the go-to. So I don't see anyone but Leon winning. Mills with an outside chance maybe, but I don't think enough has been done there yet. Also, just want to ask, where the fuck is Mills' coat gone? Then, so throughout the match, Josh James to get most eliminations. I agree with you that having Josh eliminate Luke would be a really big one. If Luke comes into it not a tag team champion, I actually think that goes to Jay Joshua. I think Jay gets the big one. Final four, I'm going with Leon, Manders, Zazaya, Jay Joshua. They are my final four.
I'd forgotten all about Manders. I can't believe I had.
Oh, Dave. And maybe I'm picking him as my final four because I don't think Manders or Jay will win it, but I'm trying to manifest the match with them.
Manders would have been a great number 30 entrant if they hadn't announced him.
He really would have done, wouldn't he? Speaking of number 30 entrants, I'm the same as you, that I don't see that Big Pop name. Okay, and when we say Big Pop name, right? So you got those ones, and then you've got this is an interesting one. That was Ridgeway last year, right? So Shah, when I watched that one, Mac, you could see he was done to be the Big Pop, right? Same with Trent, the Big Pop. In terms of when they were brought back in, but Ridgeway was brought in as I've not seen this guy in a while. I think it will be Chuck Mambo in at number 30.
I think that would be a really good one, because I think it would create an atmosphere of, what's going to happen now? Because presumably TK's in the ring when Chuck comes, and in your vision of it,
people are clamoring for it, right? They're like, where is he? And I think you've got two levels of fan, right? You've got the fans who go to more shows than they consume watching the product, okay? In terms of watching it on Red Pro On Demand. So they're not picking up on what commentary is putting down, right? And I include myself in that I feel I go to more live shows than I do on demands. So I'm not picking up on that, Chuck Mambo is mentioned on this, and getting all those little calls that people who watch more on demand are going to hear more of. So if you're like me and you're there, you'll go, well, they're not really paying this off just yet. Like, are they building to it? And then so I'll be going, where could we go? But from all accounts, they have mentioned Chuck a couple of times on commentary. So, okay, cool. It's not coincidence it's been mentioned. We're building to something. I've said all along, I felt that the match would be Chuck versus TK at the anniversary show. That, again, I think we'll go in there. I don't think we're going to do a Sunshine Machine breakup, but I think we're going to get a hard-hitting match there. And I think if you really want, again, put TK over, like, Mambo's got this way that he can sell that he'll gain the sympathy that's needed. But have him come back and almost be like, well, you want to go for this title. Mambo could come back in and say that he also wants to go for it, right? That could just be his thing straight away. He's coming and going for it. Teach tries to eliminate him.
The idea that the agreement is made. Maybe TK forcing it and Chuck having to begrudgingly accept it, that in Rev Pro, Teeks wants to chase singles gold.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore Sunshine Machine will take place everywhere else.
Yeah.
But not here.
Yeah.
A bit like how Sapphire said to Anita Vaughan, hyperactive, not here. I then quite like the idea that TK can go on this quite strongly booked run where he gets future opportunities, and Chuck can't win a match to save his life. Just loses to everybody. And we get this really differing experience that eventually leads to them coming back round together again.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be the next year and a half, 2 years of Sunshine Machine in Rev Pro.
Yeah.
But they're one team who find a way to make themselves relevant and keep themselves in Rev Pro canon perpetually.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time we saw Greedy Souls? When was the last time we saw Lycos Gym as a tag team?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think of many other British teams that have come in and stayed in Rev Pro. You know, like Subculture lost the titles, off they go. Grizzled Young Vets, obviously, that's different. They're in America now.
Yeah.
The Sunshine Machine always come back. The longest I feel like they've ever been away was the first 4 months of 2023. Basically building up to the match with the Vets in Southampton, which then led to the run. It was last year, sorry, not 2023, last year, 2024. Yeah, loads there that I like. Loads there that I like.
Yeah. But look, I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of things that feel like the right pieces are there, the right breadcrumbs are there to go down various routes, but nothing feels like it's completely set in stone that it becomes obvious. So there are routes there, depending on who we go. There's ones that I like more. There's ones that I think would be great banger matches with history, but there's ones that I feel like there's more emotion to go with it as well. So look, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be my first. I don't believe I've ever been to a show ever with a Rumble concept live. So I think this will be my first.
It's so much fun, mate.
No,
it's so much fun.
I lie. I've gone to one, and that was the Multiverse Rumble at Eve. But that was obviously a much more different affair, much more pared down affair as well, in terms of they didn't quite have the same level, and I'm not going to be seeing Vicky Pollard in a Rev Pro ring anytime soon. So
will anybody pull out a pedigree? I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this: I'm really, really pleased to see how well it's sold. You know, they're putting out messages saying that there's limited seats available, and if anybody is on the fence about whether or not to go because it's going to be hot on Saturday. On Sunday. It's going to be hot in York Hall, but the Rumble is so much fun.
Yeah,
and like, it's such a unique show, different to any other that you'll go to. So I strongly encourage people to get involved with it. And it's always a lot will take place. Yeah. It's the sort of show that we kind of feed on for the next 4 months after this, with everything that comes out of it.
It is the road to the anniversary of Summer Sizzler now. So I
feel like the J Cup was summer has begun.
Yeah, agreed. We said that Epic Encounter was the end of the first sort of.
That was like end of part 1, right?
End of part 1. I feel like J-Cup was end of part 2. This is now beginning of part 3. The Rumble is the way to kick us off for that second half of the year and kick us off in style. Mate.
Exciting times, mate.
Exciting times. I will see you Sunday.
See you Sunday, mate.
See you later.